Hi guys, I will be talking about Euro USD today. What I'm looking at for Euro USD today. I come on the monthly time frame as usual. What do I do on the monthly time frame? I check what's happening on the monthly time frame. Here is a double top. That's why this double top pushed the markets downward. And here is also a consolidation, a double top around this area, or kind of an inverse head and shoulder around this area, triple top. Then that is why this market came down to this place, to the measure zone, to test this measure zone. From this measure zone, this is why the market reversed from this area. So it pushed up to this place. Initially, I was like thinking that this is a head and a shoulder pattern on the monthly time frame. So I was thinking this is the right shoulder and this is the head, and potentially it's supposed to come and form at least to the structural region of this area. That was my thought previously. But the market is doing something differently. It came to this major zone. Actually, it's actually on the right path. It came to this major zone and it's rejecting from this major zone. That's why we took advantage of this market towards this direction. So I'll come back to my weekly time frame. What is my weekly time frame saying? My weekly time frame is just trying to tell me that this market came to this major level and formed a base. Initially, I was telling you we took a trade on this position towards the upside. So it has actually formed a base. So it's kind of tricky in this area because if you see this area properly on Euro USD, you're going to see that this is actually a resistance level. And this is looking like a head around this area. If we go back to the daily time frame, you're going to see what I'm talking about. But on the monthly time frame, everything actually look bullish on the monthly time frame. So, but this is quite a resistance level, which I am worried about because look, market rejected here once, twice, thrice. This is the third time that the market is rejecting around this area. So we have to put that into consideration. That is why I'm saying for Euro USD for this week, it's better to stand aside. Why? Because there is a multiple rejection around this area. Although we are working presently with this double bottom around this area as of the moment, but you're not going to ignore this resistance around this area because this resistance is quite strong because it's this resistance that pushed this market downwards and it formed a double top, push it downward for the second time. So it's quite a strong level. So that is why for Euro USD this week, I'm going to stand aside. So when we'll come back to the daily time frame, on the daily time frame, look at what we're seeing on the daily time frame. On the daily time frame, we took this position to the upside from this place. We took it up to the upside. This correction, we also entered and took it up to this place. So this can actually be a head, a left shoulder, and a right shoulder. So that's a prediction, that's a forecast for now. But on the monthly time frame is on the weekly time frame is kind of still looking bullish. So I will favor the upside. But for now, I'm going to stand aside on Euro USD. Why? Because this is a resistance, a strong resistance level. So if I'm expecting, actually I favor bullish bias. If I'm expecting the Euro USD to push up, I'm expecting a correction like this. So look at this. Look at this. This is quite significant. So when you go to the what is happening presently at price action, you're going to see a push, you're going to see a rejection back to trend line, then we're going to get a push around this place. So potentially, I'm looking for a correction back to the trend line for a continuation to the upside. But if market, that's what I'm looking at presently as of the moment. So I'll just bring out my Fibonacci. What is my Fibonacci saying? My Fibonacci is saying a push to the upside, a correction back to this trend line around this region. So this Fibonacci, I'm just using it hypothetically in this situation, Fibonacci. So I'm expecting a correction. If you see, the Fibonacci is also lining up with the structural region. So this is quite correct in my eyes. Fibonacci, structural region, and also trend line. So at this point, it's a good area to take this market to the upside if we see a correction. So the only reason why I'm going to be considering a sell in this situation is if I see a break of this counter trend line. That's only when I'm going to be considering a sell. So I am favoring the upsides to the tune of 80% as of the moment. Then I'll go back to my 4 hour time frame. On the 4 hour time frame, you're going to see it clearly what is forming on the 4 hour time frame. Look at the present price action on the 4 hour time frame. Look at a push to the upside and a correction. So this, I can actually use my trend line in this situation and just draw a counter trend line, a break of the counter trend line. Remember, if you can watch my previous video, it's also documented there. Remember when I told you that this is actually forming a kind of a double top around this area, a 4 hour double top around this area to push the market downward. So it's the same thing around this area that is trying to form. If you see presently, the market is presently consolidating around this region for a correction for a continuation to the upside. So if you look properly, I think EURUSD is more clearer presently than DXY as of the moment. Then I'm going to look at DXY because I use DXY to ascertain what the EURUSD is doing. But for now, I think that the EURUSD is clear in my eyes. But let me check what the DXY is doing. The next pair that we're going to be looking at is DXY. You know that the DXY is Euro USD inverted. So when we come back to the monthly time frame on the DXY, I am seeing that price is actually, there's a trend line, an ascending trend line around this region. We have the first touch, the second touch, and the third touch of the trend line. But however, this trend line has held this market around this area, but it has formed a double top around this region. So for now, I'm not going to be considering the trend line anymore because I'm seeing a monthly double top around the structural region. So I will come back to my weekly time frame. My weekly time frame is still looking to me the same as a double top around this area. So I was looking at this as a head, this as a left shoulder. If you watch my previous video, I stated all this in the previous video. I was looking at this as a head, this as a left shoulder, but this does not push up significantly around this area. Anytime I see a head and shoulder pattern, that's a lesson to learn. Anytime that I see a head and shoulder pattern that is lower than, it's not equal, or it's not a little bit higher than this shoulder around this area, I'm worried about that head and shoulder pattern because it's kind of always failing. It's a head and shoulder pattern that I've found out a lot of time that it failed. It normally fails. So when I come back to this area, this present price action region, I could see a double top around this area. So I'm working on these principles of price action. And if you look around this area, it has already broken back into the head region. This is the left shoulder, this is the right shoulder potentially, but it had broken back into the head region. So for now, I'm still looking that this market is kind of still a continuation to the downside for the XY. So if you check properly around this area, you could see a double top around this area. This is a retest of the neckline of the double top, the present price action. I'm looking at what price is doing currently. This is a retest of the neckline of this double top around this area. So price has already broken this support region that will now turn to be resistance. So I'm expecting, if you see prices currently consolidating around this area, I'm expecting when we come back to the 4 hour time frame, look at what I'm expecting. I could see a 4 hour double bottom around this area. So I'm expecting price to form a correction like this around this area to this zone for a continuation to the downside. So Euro USD for now is more clearer than the XY. So I like to analyze the both together because DXY is inverted Euro USD. So the next pair that I'm going to be looking at is GBPJPY. GBPJPY, on the other hand, I will come on the monthly time frame. I check what the monthly time frame is doing. The monthly time frame for GBPJPY is quite clean. So I saw a push, a double bottom, a base around this area, a push, a break of the major zone around this region. Quite a consolidation though, if you ask me. DXY is always consolidating. So that's how it works. Then a break of this structure around this area, then a consolidation, then a continuation to the upside. There is a supply region around this area, which I think the market is coming to test around this region. So that's where I'm looking forward to the market to go next. So this is my monthly time frame. When I come back to my weekly time frame, on the other hand, my weekly time frame is telling me something unique. If you look properly at this price on the weekly time frame, you're going to see that price push up, correction, push up, correction, push up at the close. When you go back to the monthly time frame, you're going to see that this is a monthly candle close. At the monthly candle close, there is a correction at this area. So a correction like this. So that's why I'm a little bit worried about this level, because this is actually a double top, because this is a weak, although it has broken the candle close, monthly candle close, but this is a weak rejection. So, and if you look at this correction properly and critically, you're going to see that there is a correction around this area. There's a correction around this region. There's a push up. I'm kind of expecting a correction back to this top. If you check properly, you're going to see that the correction it's supposed to correct back to this region. That's my concern, a weekly correction. In this case, I'll make a video about corrections on the weekly time frame. The corrections on the weekly time frame is different from the corrections on the daily time frame. So I am kind of expecting a weekly time frame correction around this area. But when we go back to the daily time frame is kind of looking like the daily time frame is looking like it wants to continue in this pattern towards the upside. So if you check, there's a push up, there's a correction, there's a push up, and this is quite looking like this one as well, if you check. But on the weekly time frame, I feel like there should be more correction. On the daily time frame, it's looking like this is already okay. So what I'm going to do is, in this kind of situation, I will wait for a break of this top before I'm going to take a buy, because I kind of favor the weekly correction over the daily. I'll wait for the break of this the top around this area. Once I see bullish engulfing candlestick pattern around this region, then I know it's a continuation to the upside on GBPJPY. The next pair that I'm going to be looking is GBPUSD. What is GBPUSD saying? Then we're going to round up with US oil. What GBPUSD saying? We'll come to the monthly time frame as usual. What are we going to do on the monthly time frame? Check what price is doing on the monthly time frame. For me, that's what I normally check. Look at this area. Look, price is pushing up, pushing down, pushing up, pushing down, pushing up, and potentially this is looking like a correction to push down. So that's what I'm looking on GBPUSD. So if you check, this is quite consolidative, if you ask me, around this area. So, and this is my mid-range zone around the two areas. I normally put as a kind of a resistance between the two zones around the region. So when I come back to my weekly time frame, what is price doing on the weekly time frame on this pair? Price, remember on the monthly time frame as well, on the previous video, I told you that price can easily reject around this area because of this resistance around this area that pushed the market downwards. So when you come back to a weekly time frame, you're going to see on the weekly time frame that here is also an important level around this area. This price around this area was what easily dropped the market downwards. So, and when it came downward, it pushed back up. And if you check around this area, there is a resistance. This level is also a strong level. If you see there, when price hit this area, it dropped back downwards before the continuation to the upside. And if you check this place, there's also a serious resistance around this area. So this area is a very strong level. So what I'm looking at on the daily time frame potentially is this. I'm expecting, if you see there is a multiple rejection around this area. So it's not going to be surprising to me if I see GBPUSD come back to test this region before the break to the upside, because this is quite a serious level. That is why I'm a little bit patient. For GBPUSD, I'm going to stand aside as well. Same as EURUSD, same as DXY. I'm going to stand aside because there is a multiple correction. There is a multiple consolidation around this area at this point. So for this pairs, I'm going to stand aside. Then when we come back to the 4-hour time frame, what are we seeing on the 4-hour time frame? Look, price is consolidating around this area, multiple rejection around this area for a potential drop, maybe drop to the downside. So that's what I'm looking at for GBPUSD. Then the next pair that I'm going to check is US oil. On US oil, on the US 30, not US oil, sorry. US oil, I'm going to be talking about US oil next year. On US 30, we'll come back to the monthly time frame. What is US 30 saying on the monthly time frame? We're going to look on the monthly time frame is kind of looking bullish. We have a push, we have a drop, we have a push, we have a drop. This is a Fibonacci. I'm looking for US 30 to get to 50K region. That's what I'm projecting for US oil to get to 50K region. Then before we are going to see a significant rejection. So when I come back to my weekly time frame, what is price saying on the weekly time frame? What can I see on the weekly time frame? I could see a kind of a correction. I like the weekly time frame correction because it's quite clear on the weekly time frame correction, because you see a push, you see a drop, you see a push, you see a drop. So how do I look at it? If you check the push from this area, it's not really that high before we see a drop that break the structural level. So if you check properly, that's why I'm expecting a drop on the weekly time frame towards this region, this support region. So when you come back to your daily time frame, on the other hand, daily time frame, this is what I'm expecting on daily time frame, because on a normal day, you're going to see a correction. This is a correction, this is a drop, this is a push, this is a drop. And this is also looking like a correction. It's either going to correct in two areas. That's what I'm looking. It's either going to correct in two areas. This is how I know that the market is going to reject from a specific area. This level can push the market upward. So I'm expecting to see a daily candle, bullish daily candle from this level or from this level. It's either going to shoot up from this level or from the second level, because the second level is a structural region. And this level is also a strong level that kind of push this market downward. So if I'm expecting to see, when I see a bullish daily engulfing candlestick pattern around this level or around this level, is actually going to push the market upward. On the other hand, if I see a total break of this level, then I'm expecting the market to form a weekly correction back to this level. So that's what I'm looking on US 30. So anywhere I see a bullish candle from this area, from this area, I'm expecting the market to push back upward. But if it breaks this region, then I'm expecting that the market want to form a weekly time frame correction towards the downside. So that's my thought on US 30 as of the moment, as of this week. So